to follow from that. So a big thank you to Jayne McCoy. Hi, Jayne. So pleased you could join us today. So Jayne is the Deputy Leader of the London Borough of Sutton. She's been a councillor since 2010, and her portfolio includes planning, economic development, business and housing. Prior to being a councillor, Jayne was an accountant working in the private sector. And today, Jayne is going to talk about a fresh approach to economic development and really show us a case study from Sutton and give us some great ideas of what can happen in Kingston. So I'm hoping that, John, you can put up a couple of slides from Jayne. I'm not seeing anything at the moment.
Oh, right, sorry.
That's
yeah,
all right.
Here we
Oh,
go.
yeah, they're up now. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, we're live. And Jayne, we can see your screen. I can't actually see you anymore. I could see you a little earlier.
Oh.
I can see something, but you're not on the camera. You're not on screen at the minute.
That's odd. Let me try, see what I can do.
Yeah, oh yeah, there you are. You're back.
Good, okay.
And gone again, actually. How strange. Yes, I can see you now.
Oh, I know what I've done. I know what I've done. Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, see you perfectly now. That's fine. Okay, thank you, Jayne. So it would be great if you could just sort of give us a quick introduction to what you've been doing in Sutton, if that's okay.
Great. Well, hi, Kate. Hi, John. Thanks very much for inviting me this afternoon. Yes, we've changed our approach drastically in Sutton. It all started around about 2012 when we decided we wanted to address the recession and the issues of high streets, were struggling. Sutton it's got a good high street, but it's long, and we've got competition from Kingston and from Croydon, so it's a metropolitan centre, but it was facing difficulties. So we decided that we wanted to be more proactive about our approach to economic development, and this was a big change for Sutton because we've never really done that before. We've just let things carry on quite nicely, and we did survive the recession because we've got lots of small businesses and family-run businesses, which actually they tend to be solid and stable. So they were surviving the recession, but we realised that we needed to give the local economy a boost. And as a result of this change in approach, we've seen big changes in Sutton, and we've learned quite a lot along the way. Okay, well, we look forward to hearing about what you have been doing. And I know one of those things was that the council became a key facilitator in economic development. So it'd be good to hear more about how you achieved that. Yes, I think the biggest piece of learning was realising that the council does have a key role to play in facilitating economic development. I'm sure not everyone necessarily expects that to be the case, but it's been quite surprising just the difference it can make. And two key ways. One, I think, is about creating the right environment for businesses to thrive and to attract investment. And on that, one of the key pieces of work we did, which was to underpin our strategy, was to develop a whole new local plan. And the benefit of this was it enabled us to first understand our business environment. We've got some industrial areas as well as our high streets and district centres. And the plan made an effort to safeguard those sites so that they didn't get lost to residential or office space where it wasn't appropriate. But then in a key way to identify which sites were available for and right for future development. The second way that councils can have a key role is to actually, make it happen. Make it happen by developing projects that help local businesses or stimulate activity, or even direct interventions like investments in certain areas and key projects. So we've engaged in that. It's quite a big piece of work, and one of the approaches from the council was it was a whole council approach. It wasn't just the business and the sort of licensing, that sort of thing. Say planning, we sort of a little way in, we realised that planning was the key underpinner, and then other methods as well.
Okay, well, it'd be great to just hear about some of the things that you've been doing in Sutton in more detail.
Well, I think one of the first things we did is we wanted to market the opportunity. We identified there were sites ripe for development, and we wanted to attract businesses, new business, new investment. As I say, it was not something that we'd done previously. And to do this, we set aside a budget for economic development of £1 million. Now, that sounds like a lot of money. We were a bit richer at the time, well, in comparative terms. And in fact, we didn't spend anything like all of that, but that helped stimulate our interventions. And what we've seen come back in that, in the first 3 years, we actually saw over £500 million of new investment. And the pictures you can see are examples of some of that. That was new development and new businesses. It's amazing, just by marketing the borough, saying you're open for business, saying you're looking for development. That's the key thing. That really took us by surprise. You know, we had an investment conference, but just saying that and marketing the borough in a way that we hadn't done before, really, we suddenly started seeing cranes over Sutton that we weren't used to. Then with that approach, we made sure it was a collaborative approach, a whole council approach to facilitate that development when it came in. So we get everybody in the room, we get the planners, but also the asset managers, we'd get the finance team, the economic development team, all sat around the table with interested developers to talk about them, because there's all these things, and they fed back to us, developers fed back to us that this, you know, talking to everyone at the same time made their life so much easier. So it's about facilitating the environment so that it could take place. And a couple of these examples, Subsea 7, the bottom right corner, they already had one of their sort of African headquarters in Sutton, and they were looking to expand from, I think, about 250 employees to 750, and they wanted a place to do this. Obviously, we wanted to keep them in the borough, and by working with them and helping them, we identified a council-owned car park that was very underused, and we sold it to them. And that's the building we got. It's an award-winning, you know, it's a fantastically designed building that really just lifts the area. And so they've invested in our area and expanded. And they were looking at all sorts of other places to go, including abroad. So that was a real achievement. And it just shows how that works. Another key thing, I think the top left-hand corner, is when you do have development, by working along, you know, working in a facilitative way, you've got to make sure that the development works for the area and doesn't detract. The Sainsbury's there is at the bottom of our high street, and we were a bit worried it would detract shoppers away from the high street. So what we did was we worked with them to make sure that they improved the public realm, and it linked in, so it was an attractor. And so you see we've got some fantastic public realm improvements there as a result of that.
Okay, great. We seem to have moved to the next slide, but this is around creating the environment for business. It'd be good if you could just talk through some of the things here.
Well, I mean, it goes back, I think, to some of the things that Robin was saying. Creating the right environment for business in terms of physical environment is massively important. It allows things to happen. One of the keys first is transport and access. Hopefully a lot of people, well, maybe not everybody knows it, but people spend more money if they come to a town or district centre using public transport or walking or cycling. They spend more per visit. So that's something that, so you've got to make it easily accessible by those means, and also a pleasant place to stay and linger. There's got to be an offer there for them. So obviously working on your transport and highways improvements, but also making it look nice. You know, if an area looks run down, then people think it's run down. So we invested a bit of money, well, we got grant funding and things like that to do some shop front improvements and some improving the nice areas. The top left-hand corner, our marketplace, Sutton, that's actually the bottom end, rather rundown area. It's lifted it. By doing some shop front improvements and spending money on some shops, other shops spent their own money trying to match that. And it just lifts the area. It has a knock-on effect. Then we've got to create vibrancy and interest. markets, things happening, events, all makes a difference. That makes it feel like it's a place to go. It's got a vibrancy. It's an interesting place to be. And then finally, the transport links. We've been lobbying hard to get the tram to Sutton because we know that will just unlock our town centre even more, and just make it easy to get around, and brings the employment in there as well. I think there's another slide again, that part of our interventions are about sort of making it happen. Mm-hmm. So this is the making it happen part of things. Active interventions we can make. We encourage business improvement districts in key areas. We had none before, now we've got 3. We've got the town centre business improvement district, and we've got 2 industrial bids. Actually, I think one of them was in existence before we really got involved, but it makes a difference. They invest their own money, but they can work with the council, and we've done lots of joint projects that working together do those sort of things. We've also our procurement, the council procurement. That's one way we can actively intervene. We made sure that our procurement offer, our tender portal, allowed small businesses to take advantage of council projects. It's allowing, often we allow them to work in a sort of put in a collective bid. So a number of, a small business or a medium-sized business might not be able to put in a contract on its own, but by jointly working with other businesses, they can put in a joint contract. So we try to make it as easy as possible for small and medium-sized businesses to be able to get council contracts. And one real benefit of that, we had Kind & Co, a construction company, who are a medium-sized local construction company. We've had them building our new council houses, and working with a smaller developer has been absolutely wonderful. It's been a real partnership. They're very proud of what they're doing. We've been really proud with them, and even the residents like them. Because they just worked in such a way, it made such a difference, because they wanted to work well with us. They wanted to make a good impact on the environment locally, because we will give them more work, and we have. Other interventions we've done is we did a pop-up scheme. This was to support sort of new entrepreneurs, startups, give them the opportunity to test out their business ideas, either services or and we did a pop-up market called Pop-Up Sutton. It actually won an award in the end, and it gave them a chance to try it out. But it was accompanied by a year's worth of business support and advice to help them through all the things, real practical advice, from financial advice to marketing and communications. And we're really pleased that a number of those businesses, they've got their own little sort of association now. Many of them are surviving and going on to bigger and better things.
That's great to hear. And this logo in the top right, my eye is drawn to that. Can you tell us more about this award scheme that you have?
Yes, this came out of our employment and skills sort of piece of work. We had a number of it was focused on women, trying to infuse and raise the ambitions of a lot of our young women in schools. So we did a bit of a speed dating event with them, and we had the female ambassadors going into the schools talking about their work. It was like a speed dating, but speed career meetings. That went really well. The ambassadors loved it. And on the back of that, we have an award, a Women in Business Award, for role models of women in key businesses, to recognising the work that they do. Because again, it's about raising aspirations and promoting the opportunities out there. And also, what we did focus a little bit on some women in not the most obvious roles. In science and technology, we were very keen to promote that one. So it's not obvious, actually. There's lots of women involved in that, but it was just raising the raising the awareness of that. And also we had a woman who was a fire officer, and someone from the council who's a planning officer. So we did these awards. It was we sort of came up with the idea, but the town centre Successful Sutton bid, they actually put it on and did everything and came up with this fantastic logo. And we would have had them again this year, I think, unfortunately, because of COVID we haven't. So, but we hope to do that again in future. It's a really inspiring event.
Oh, thank you. I think we've got another slide. Yes, other ways to support businesses, Jane.
Yes. This is, again, active intervention. It's understanding and talking to businesses and finding out what they need, and obviously employment and skills. Excuse me. Employment and skills is a key issue for businesses. So we wanted to find out what businesses need, what the skills issues were, and then put in interventions to try and meet that. We found that there was too many different pathways for apprenticeships, and it was all over the place. Information was all over the place, and it was hard both for businesses to find their way through, as well as people seeking apprenticeships. So we came up with the apprenticeship hub, which was a one-stop shop where all the information was in one place, all the vacancies, business could advertise, and people could go on there looking for opportunities. So it was bringing that all together, which we found was helpful. We've got the Sutton for Science Skills strategy that was based around, we know we've got, we need social workers, we need NHS workers, and then the London Cancer Hub has great opportunities for skills. And what we want to do is make sure that our local residents have got the skills to take advantage of the opportunities, all the new businesses that we're bringing in. So they, people often resist, if they see lots of development going on, they think, what's in it for me? So we wanted to make sure that they benefited by it from the job opportunities. Then obviously tailored support and advice. And again, we've been working with partners like the Sutton Chamber of Commerce to put on, various business advice support programs, through webinars like this that you're doing, sharing that information, but working in partnership to deliver that. And partnership is actually, I think, the key thing. It's the council working partnership with businesses, and understanding each part of the council, understanding their role they play, because there's planning, you've got licensing, you've got parking, you've got business rate collection. They all have an impact, and we've got to and they don't always think about things from the business point of view. Just trying to embed that sort of understanding of business throughout that. But also, again, at heart of it is councillors. Councillors can often be key links with businesses. They know their local area, but they've got to think that way as well, not just about residents, about businesses, and sometimes bringing some conflicting views together.
That's so useful, thank you. And you'd mentioned there the Cancer Hub at Sutton. That's something that we're hearing a lot about in Kingston. Is there more you can say about that?
Well, I'm very glad you are hearing lots about it. We're certainly trying to promote that. Yeah, the London Cancer Hub, this came out of the work we were doing, sort of, as part of our early sort of economic development strategy, was just checking what businesses were there. We did not know this was there. The Cancer Hub is essentially already there on the Belmont site. And what it is we've got the Institute of Cancer Research co-located with the Royal Marsden Hospital. And that co-location has instigated incredible work from the two of them. The ICR is one of the most successful drug diagnostic bodies in the world. I think it's about 4th on the world rankings, up there with some American institutes, but both converting sort of drug discoveries into marketable drugs. And they accredit that to their close working with the Royal Marsden, because they can immediately go and test them and then get the feedback, and they've got access to tissue samples. So that collaboration has been fantastic. So it's already a sort of a world leader on these things. But we didn't even realise they were there. We knew they were in London, and they've got a central site in London, but they've got a site, it's co-location in Sutton. But they want to grow, and they were talking to us as we were talking to them. They were talking about their growth aspirations. And it was very fortuitous because they were located on a site next to some NHS land that the NHS was getting rid of. So obviously in London, land is a premium. So we could just see the potential. You know, we could help them achieve their growth ambitions on the site because we had the land. So what we did is we formed a partnership with the Marston and the ICR, sort of very loose memorandum of understanding, but we made sure that we did a development framework for that site. It's a big site, so that we could look at what could be achieved on that site. Because at the moment, it's a typical, although we've got these fantastic institutions, it's a typical NHS sort of site where it's all higgledy-piggledy, parking dominates, and it's a mess. And yet you've got these, you know, top world scientists working from these buildings. So, you know, we could redevelop that into a world-class campus that such a facility is, you know, worthy of. And then by working with the NHS, we as a council acquired the land from the NHS, and we did it in such a way, we did it in a piecemeal way, so that all the NHS money got reinvested locally for them, so that was a benefit. So that was our partnership working with the NHS. But we've secured the land so that we've now enabled that site to be developed, and now we're marketing it, and actually we're going to be actively involved in delivering some of the opportunities there, some incubator space for the spin outs that tend to come with this sort of development. So, and since working there, we've already got it's a cancer drug discovery centre has been built. That's about to be formally opened. The Marsden have developed a Maggie's Centre on the site, and we've delivered a school on the site, which was one thing we needed a bit of the land for. But that school is a science academy, and it's formed really close links to the ICR. So the opportunities for our young people from that, and it's a passive house school as well. So just by finding out what's there, we've had this fantastic opportunity. And obviously there's potential for Sutton, but also it generates 1.6 billion, or potential to generate 1.6 billion GVA for the UK economy. So it's an asset locally. So we're really pushing this. So I'm glad you've heard about it.
That's brilliant, Jane. Thank you so much. You've shared so many good ideas, and I think inspired us in terms of what we need to be thinking about in Kingston. I suppose, you know, I'm thinking personally about Surbiton, part of Kingston, where we could maybe adopt some of these ideas. But I suppose one thing that's also on my mind is the lack of funding at the moment, particularly, and if there's any sort of thoughts you can give about how we can get around that.
Yes, I mentioned the 1 million pot we put aside at the beginning, but we used that really for, I think, some investment conferences and about the marketing. But really, especially compared to like neighbouring boroughs like Croydon, they've got a more of a reputation for being, you know, marketing and investment and being that way. We've managed a lot of it on a shoestring, and it's amazing. You know, you pull a bit of funding from here, a bit of funding from there, and it's amazing what you can do. And it doesn't always need an awful lot of money. There's various funding bids out there that you can apply for. There's the Good Growth Fund. We're looking at the Livable Neighbourhoods funds. There's High Street funds. There's all these things that, you know, it's having ideas ready and then put them in when those sort of funding opportunities arise. And then you work on the basis of that to do that. We had the Outer London funds, which helped develop 3 of our district centres with those sort of environmental improvements that we did. Then it's just using your LIT funding, your highways funding innovatively, you know, and maybe a bit of match funding from here and there. It's just pulling a few bits together, but small changes can make a big difference. Even if it's just something to improve the environment in a physical way, like hanging baskets, you know, and I say shopfront improvements, just improving a few places, and it has a knock-on effect because then it lifts an area and then people want to do more of that. So that's the way. Obviously, business improvement districts, that's the businesses themselves contributing and working with them. They can do things for you that, you know, we're working with our bids, they've actually delivered some of the projects, or we've match funded various projects that we wanted to do. But one key thing that we have got as councils is access to the Public Works Loans Board, which is low cost borrowing, and we've made ample opportunity of that ourselves by investing in key town centre properties to to lead the sort of reinvigoration of an area. So our town centre, there's obviously, everyone has it, lots of sort of significant buildings left empty. They're just waiting for some big brand, you know, business to move in there, which probably won't happen, or won't happen for a long time. In the meantime, it's empty, pulling the area down. So we've actually purchased those properties and we're repurposing them. And because we don't need to make the same kind of profits, we can do it at a low margin. We still make some income from it. We can do it at low margin, use it for meanwhile space, for startups. We've got a community sound lounge. It's a community sort of project going on in them. So we can use that to reinvigorate and be more experimental and allow some of these new and interesting businesses to make use of that they wouldn't have that opportunity otherwise. We're, you know, I think investing in land and property is a, you know, it's always a fairly safe option. You know, you can always sell it on, or, you know, find other ways to generate income. But it's a way of stimulating the local area. So councils do have that ability to access that kind of funding.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Some really inspiring ideas there. So thank you. There is a couple of questions coming in. I think I've got time for one. This is from, I think, David Randall. Jayne, you've mentioned the LEP or the South London Partnership. How do these feature in Sutton's regen plans post-COVID?
We haven't really got a LEP other than the London one, although working with them has been sort of, they've recognised the Cancer Hub opportunity and it's been helpful working with the mayor. He's recognised that, so that raises the profile and you know, shows that there are opportunities to talk to the mayor about these things. The South London Partnership has been very useful, working collectively. I think as a region, we've got a good offer. We've got a very good offer that's sometimes forgotten about. So that collective voice can make a bigger impact in lobbying and talking to businesses. You know, I think there was some figures that showed that, you know, we generate as a group, you know, as much sort of input as somewhere like Birmingham. It is, you know, it is quite substantial collectively. So working together, making sure we're not competing with each other, but working with each other. There's, you know, the fact there's a university in Kingston could have links with the Cancer Hub, you know, and the Cancer Hub could benefit locally. Thinking about those things and working together has been useful. We've been particularly looking at skills, because obviously you don't just want to stick to people in your local area. So we've been working jointly on that, and I think it's just making it a bigger offer and sharing ideas.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jayne. I really appreciate it, and I think you're hanging around for the next session as well. So thank you so much for your input this morning. We really appreciate it. And over to you now, John.
Thank you.